guys, in this video we are going to start learning about trigonometry. So this video is just kind of an introduction to what trigonometry ratios are. Okay, so one thing that you guys are going to be familiar with is we are going to be referencing an angle, and you're often going to see this variable. This is the Greek letter theta, and we typically use that to represent angles. So in this guy, I have theta here by angle A. So that is what we call our reference angle. Okay, so this guy is called the reference angle. Okay, so we already know the name of the longest side in a right triangle. We call that the hypotenuse. Okay, so the hypotenuse, the other two sides we have called the legs. We're going to be a little more specific today. When I have a reference angle, I have the option to name them adjacent or opposite. So adjacent, remember, means next to, and opposite means across. So this side over here would be the opposite, and this side would be next to. It's not the hypotenuse, it's the other one that is next to. So this would be the adjacent side. So if I move the reference angle, so now angle B is the reference angle, this is still the hypotenuse, but this time the side across from B is the opposite, and then this one is the adjacent. So depending on which angle we're talking about, that affects where my opposite and adjacent sides are. The hypotenuse is always the longest side across from 90. Okay, so if you did the discovery activity, you have already looked at and explored what these are, but remember, sine is always going to be the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. The cosine is the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And tangent is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So something to help us remember those three ratios is what you see up top here, this acronym SOH. So I'm going to write that out down here so you guys can see exactly why that's helpful. So goes with sine of theta, the angle equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, C is for cosine, so cosine of the angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And then TOA is saying that tangent of the angle is the opposite over adjacent. So SOH-TOA is an acronym that helps us remember those three equations. On your calculator, the sine, cosine, and tangent are abbreviated, so those are the acronyms you're going to see on your calculator. Okay, so sine of R. So this is the angle, and it's the reference angle. So if I want R, then here's the hypotenuse. Opposite is going to be 12, and adjacent is going to be 5. So here, sine of R equals opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be 12 over 13. Now, if I switch to S, now S is my reference angle. So if that's my reference angle, now 5 is the opposite and 12 is the adjacent. So sine of S is equal to 5 over 13. So again, depending on what angle we're talking about, that changes where the opposite and adjacent are. Okay, so on our calculator, okay, one thing, I have a TI-84 plus here, you guys. The TI-30s work very similarly. One thing we need to make sure of is that we're in degree mode. So you're going to hit right here where it says mode, and then scroll down right here where it says radian degree. We want degree to be highlighted. So if it's not, scroll over, hit enter till that's the blinky one, and then second quit to get out of that. Okay, so here's my trig buttons. I have sine, cosine, and tangent. So we're going to type in sine of 30 because we put it in degree mode. It knows this is an angle in degrees. And then I just hit enter. So sine of 30 is 0.5. Okay? All right, let's do some cosine examples. This is asking for cosine of u. So cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So if I'm talking about u, here's the hypotenuse, across from 90, opposite of u, and adjacent to u. So I need adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 24 over 74. Okay, now cosine is 65. So again, I'm going to type in cosine. Sorry, I showed that. Cosine here, and then 65, hit equals. This says round to the nearest hundredth, that's 2 decimal places, so we're going to go 0.42. Okay, now let's try some tangent examples. So tangent is opposite over adjacent, so we're finding tangent of angle D. So here's my reference angle, hypotenuse, opposite of D, adjacent to D. So this time I need opposite over adjacent, so 10 over 24. Okay, tangent button on our calculator, okay, is right here. So I'm typing in tangent of 15 and hit equals. Round to 2 decimal places, we're going to do 2.6 to 7. After the 6 is going to tell me to bump that up. So 0.27 approximately. Okay, so what you guys are going to be doing is just like these examples, you are going to be writing the fraction given a triangle, and then you're also going to use your calculator to evaluate some of the different ratios. Okay, that's it for this intro. Thanks for watching.